guys, hope you're doing good. In this vlog, what I wanted to do was to take a bit of time to break down the writing and recording process, because I was looking back at the other comments from the other video, and a lot of people were asking me how does the whole process work from beginning to end. So I want to take a little bit of time and just break it down for you today. So it's a lot easier for me to show you the process or demonstrate the process with the song that's actually already been done. So I'm going to take one of my other songs that's already been written and released and show you sort of the steps that it took to get to the finished product, and then I'm going to show you at the end. I'll leave a link so you can click on to hear the song. The reason I'm not really doing it with the new material is because the process can be a little bit fragmented. Not everything is done in one day, and there's various steps, so I'm not going to do it with the new song that we're working on, but one of the older songs that you're familiar with. Okay, so the first step in how Jeremy and I do this is that we will sit down together and decide on a theme for the album or the collection of songs. If it's something for my solo stuff, then we sit down and sort of decide the shape, the general shape of what we want to accomplish. And if it's something for licensing, either we've been given a directive in order to write something, or we know what we're writing for, so we go ahead and we pick our theme. So that's step one. For the previous album, Random Thoughts, I had a lot of things that I wanted to talk about. And so coming up with a theme was kind of weird because it ended up being the untheme, which was Random Thoughts. There was just a whole bunch of different topics that I wanted to cover. Step two is that we schedule a writing session. And how that usually works is that I sometimes bring in stuff that I've scribbled down or sung down to tape. You know, I'm always thinking of ideas, so I bring those to a session sometimes. But lately, what I've really liked to do is just come with a fresh, clean piece of paper with nothing on it and see what happens. For It's a Beautiful Day, for example, I had come into the session and I was feeling very optimistic, and it had been after a period of time where I had been sort of down. So I really wanted to write a song that conveyed this fresh turning, this new page, this new start, and that's how the concept for that song came to be. We decided that the song should sound super bubbly, happy, and bright. Once the topic is set, we'll go and sit down and play with a bunch of chords to see what chords and what sort of feel we can get from those chords. So for example, for It's a Beautiful Day, we really wanted to find something that evoked this bubbly feeling of anticipation, of inspiration, of positivity, something that sort of got you moving, that had this chugging, bubbly feel to it. And so we came up with this set of chords that you can hear playing in the background. You know, just fun. It makes you feel like you're in your car, doing something, moving forward. Okay, so once we have the chords all situated, we'll work on developing the melody. And to do that, I'll just sing ba-doo-doo, do-do-do-do, ba-doo-doo-doo-doo, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and I'll just kind of riff off of that. What I do after that is I go onto the mic and I record the rough vocal down so that I have a reference to go back to and listen to. Once we got everything how we like it for the verse, we'll sit down and decide if we want a B section, which is just a little musical change, and then also we decide whether we want a little flavor, a different flavor for the chords for the chorus. So in the case of It's a Beautiful Day, we decided not to have a B section and we didn't change the chords for the chorus. They just stayed the same, but the actual melody elements changed. Then we thought about whether this song would need a bridge, and after listening to it we decided, yeah, it definitely needed a bridge. An interesting little factoid. A lot of times when you're writing music, you may play or go to something that's a little bit familiar sounding. And this was the case with It's a Beautiful Day. I'm going to play you a little bit of the bridge so you can hear it. But what we decided to do was sort of flip it with the vocals. And it's like, do-do-do, do-do, ooh, ba-ba-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da. So we kind of riffed that off of that. I did a bunch of harmonies and stuff. If you go back and listen to the bridge, you'll be able to hear it. So while there's a familiar bed of chords playing, there's some interesting vocal stuff going on, which sort of lends to its own twist with the song. Once we've got the melody and the song structure figured out, we've got rough vocals down and everything, Jeremy will actually take that track now and build the rest of the song around what we've done. so all of the other parts fit in, so that basically everything lies in its correct place within the song. Once the melody is in place and the song structure is all in place, we go about the task of figuring out all of the lyrics, the words to the song. Writing the words of a song is actually the most time-consuming task, because unlike a poem where you have a blank sheet of paper and you can just write what comes out, what we have is a box, and that box is the rhythm, the structure, and the melody. So all of the words that we choose have to fit within that, but also make sense and evoke the right feeling in terms of the word content that we want to evoke in the song. Once all of the melody, structure, and the words are all done, we'll then go and set up a recording session so that I can record my vocals. Then what I'll do is I'll go in and start to record my lead vocals, and when I do that, I usually do the song all the way through about 4 or 5 times. Next, I'll work on the background vocals, and since I sing all of my own background vocals, I'll generally schedule this on a separate day because it takes a lot of time, usually 4 to 5 hours to do all of those vocals. We do a lot of harmonies. I know a lot of people don't do kind of harmonies that we do nowadays, but there's tons of harmonies. There's stag, there's the intro, there's outro, there's counter, harmonies going on in the background vocals, so it's a pretty intense time of session work. Next comes the vocal editing session, and what that is basically Jeremy and I sit down and we listen to everything that we've done in terms of vocals, and we decide how everything's fitting. As far as the leads go, we'll listen to each of the passes that I did and see if there's one that's perfectly fine the way it is. If there's perhaps like a line from one of the other takes that I like that I want to insert into one of the main passes that I like, then we'll go ahead and do those edits. And then we also see where everything is fitting, where it's all sitting, if everything kind of sounds good in terms of the vocals. What's tricky with editing lead vocals is that we have to go in and listen for the feel of the vocal. And let's say, for example, on one day we cut a session short and then I came back on another day and sang the vocals. If you listen to all those vocals together, sometimes you'll notice a pretty huge difference, because what we're trying to do is evoke a mood, and on one day I might have been in one mood and sung something some way, and on the other day it might be completely different. So this is a bit of a tricky bit of a process for us. Once all the songs are written, recorded, and edited, we will go ahead and move into the mixing phase. And this can take sometimes quite a while, because what you're doing is you're making sure that everything, all of those instruments, all of those vocals, the leads, everything fits in the perfect spot to make the song exactly what you want it to be. After everything's all mixed and it sounds exactly how we want it to sound, the last phase is to send this to be mastered. And mastering is a complete and entire science unto itself, so I'm not even going to get into it in this vlog, but it's the basic final process. So generally it takes about 1 to 3 months to record an album, but sometimes it can take a lot longer because, as you know and I know, life happens. That's not to mention equipment breaking down, other commitments cropping up, suddenly changing your mind about the sort of theme of what you want to do. There's a million things that can come in and make that a bit longer. So that's just a little sneak peek into how we do things, and I hope that it explains some of the questions that you guys have had. Keep in mind, this is just my process. It's not everyone's process. Each artist has a different way of doing things, and this is just the way that I tend to do them. But I really hope that it kind of gives you a little sneak peek behind the scenes into what it takes to write a song and get it out there. And thanks very much for the comments you've been leaving, and I'll see you guys later.
That's all for today.